Hey guys, in this video we're going to go over tire venting and how to do it properly. Now I've had comments here where people want to know how do you do your tire venting. Well, this video right here is a direct response to that question. So, I've been doing this for a long time now, and over the years I've seen how other people do their venting. I've read a lot on this subject. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. I'm going to show you what works best for me. So we'll get straight to it. We'll explain why and we'll show you how. Here we go, guys. Okay guys, so to get right into the meat of the thing, we've got a tire here that needs to be vented. Now this is a great big one, and I chose this one simply because, well, it's big enough where you could really see what we're doing here. So if you take a look in the backside, see in there right there, see the green marks? Okay, those green marks, I put those on there so you could see one hole goes here, one goes up there, it gives you even spacing, okay? So this little hex drive in here is perfect for getting your spacing, since you want 3 holes in your tire to evenly space them. The problem that I have is a lot of manufacturers call for 2, but that'll allow stuff to be trapped here, and 3 offsets it so you don't have such a big, just in my opinion, 3 is better than 2, okay? So that's where we're going with that. Now, on the actual tread of the tire, let's see, can you see that? Right in here, you've got a seam that splits the center. That's where you're going to put your holes. So if you've got a green mark here, you're going to go up to this seam, and that's where you're going to put your hole, okay? So that's your situation right there. So you'll get 3 holes. Now, there are many ways to put these holes in, and I find that the easiest and cleanest way to do it is to actually use a rotary tool. Now this has a deburring, 1/8 inch deburring bit on it, and it makes nice clean holes. Now here's the important part to this. This is just rubber that expands, okay? So when you throttle them up, it grows, right? You see these tires grow, and that pulls on the rubber, okay? So if that's the case, you want to have a nice clean hole, nothing with jagged edges, okay? So if you use a drill bit, it can hook into there and it can actually create a small cut. Now if you create a cut there, when it expands, that cut could expand. It's like a crack in a windshield. So it will over time expand. You need something that'll cook a nice even round hole in there so there's no uneven places for it to separate. Now the important bit is, with the rotary tool, it does exactly that. You'll watch a little smoke come off it, it'll burn its way in, and then the knurls on the edges will clean it up really nice and make a perfect round hole. That's my preference. I've done it with a pointed soldering iron and burned my way into it, and that works just as well. However, I would recommend doing that like in the shop and not in the house, because it does make quite a bit of smoke and it stinks. Okay, so this kind of eliminates it with that. So that being said, that's how this is done. So we'll get on to this in a second, but one thing I want to go over with you real quick before we actually punch the holes is why we do this. Now, on this particular wheel, you've got holes right in along this edge, and this one has them on both sides, okay? So what you want to do is you're going to want to tape over these holes, and these are the venting holes from the inside. On this side, you want to do the same thing, tape over the venting holes. And what that does is when the tire rotates, and it's going to rotate like this or this, right? When it rotates, centrifugal action is going to push all the dirt and the water up against this plastic ring. It just happens. It's physics, okay? So it's going to do that. When it gets to the hole, it'll force that debris down into this hole. Now, without outer venting, what you're going to have is trapped dirt and moisture. So as this spins, it throws the moisture and everything up against the tire on the inside, leaving no way out. Now the problem being, once you get enough debris in there, it'll offset the weight of the tire. So then your car will drive funny and it'll be all wobbly, and you'll wonder what that's about. And it's because you're trapping material inside. Now, I've had people ask me, why don't you just tape the inside and call it good? Well, as the rubber expands, it's trapped air inside there, because these are glued all the way around on both sides, okay? So now it's trapped, and as the tire expands, it'll deform the tire because it can't suck any air in there to take up that extra space. So in order to alleviate that problem, you perforate it on the outside. As it grows, it'll suck air in through those holes as it expands, and then it'll eject it as soon as you slow down, and this retracts back to its normal position. So having those holes on the outside, one, when you're spinning, it throws all the debris to the inside of the casing here, and it'll throw it out the holes when it gets there. As the tire returns to normal and it comes back from being expanded, it'll eject air from that and it'll push things out. Now the neat thing is, if this sits in a puddle and it sits there for a little while, it's going to soak into the foam that's inside here. Okay, that's just the way it works. And it'll go through these small holes on the inside, and then it's trapped forever because it can't evaporate, it's inside. On the outside, as soon as you spin it up, it'll wobble for a second until it ejects all that water through the holes, and it'll even right back out. And it kind of makes for a self-cleaning tire, so it works really well. So let's get down on the bench, we'll get you in close, and I'll show you how to punch the holes. All right guys, so this is the wheel that we're using. We saw this already, and you already know about these holes. So there's a trick to this. Well, it's not much of a trick, but what you do is you use regular old electrical tape, and black works fine. But if you'll notice, I've got white wheels. So they sell it in different colors, right? So just buy the color that works for you. Standard electrical tape will do the job, and it'll hold up nicely. So I've cut 4 pieces, and what we're going to do is show you how to get it on this side of the wheel. We will do the whole wheel. Here we go. So you see right down in here where that hole is. Simply cover the hole like that. And you just tape it off nice and tight. And like I say, this is going to keep the dirt out from inside the tire coming from inside here. And the problem being, you say, okay, but I vented it, the dirt will come out. Well, here's the problem. This tire's got foam in here, okay? And with the foam inside the tire, the dirt coming through here loads the foam on the inside. It's much harder to get out because it has to go through the foam to get to the outer casing. Yeah, water will go right through, but dirt and debris will load the inside of that foam, and it'll be really hard to get out, so you need to tape the inside. And, of course, like we said, if you just tape the inside and don't vent the outside, it creates vacuum and it causes deformation of the tire, so you definitely need to give it some sort of venting. That's why we're going to do this. Not only will it self-clean, but it will also keep the tire in the proper shape that it was designed in. So that being done, have another look at this. So now what we have here are our 3 points that we marked, and those are just simply off the corners of the hex in there. See that? So we're going to come straight over here, and we're going to put 1 hole there. So let's get the machine out. Here we go. Okay. That being said, just now, when you go to use this, be really careful because it can get skittish on the rubber, and this is a dangerous tool. So if you're like young, make sure that you're supervised. Don't just go at this. Make sure your parents know. If you've been at this a while, you're fully aware of it. But this thing will mess you up if it gets a hold of you. So be real careful with this tool. So here we go. Now this line goes straight over here. So we'll put 1 here. And the trick to that, brace it, set it on that seam, and make a hole in it. Now that is a perfectly round hole that can breathe, and that's the ticket. So on this one, we'll do the same thing again this way. See if I can get it where you can see it. Again, a perfectly round hole that can breathe. Find your 3rd point, come straight out to the edge, go to the center. It's going to go right here. Just like that. Beautiful. So now, there we go. So now what we have is we have 3 perfectly spaced holes. 2, 3. They're big enough, notice how they stay open. They're big enough to breathe. And this will stop any debris from coming through from the inside. Done like that, notice there are no jagged edges. That is a perfectly round hole. There's no jagged edges there anywhere, so it will fight it'll resist tearing from that hole. Plus, when this swells, it swells to this point, and that's not a bad deal. Everything is forced to the center when it expands, and it'll come right to these holes, and it'll eject it from the tire. There you go, guys. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So there you go, guys. That's how you do it. It's pretty straightforward once you do it. Now, like I say, there's a lot of ways to make those holes. You can use a soldering iron, whatever. Make sure the holes are as round as you can get them. Don't let them be jagged. Don't use an X-Acto knife and cut them, because that can cause them to tear. Also, make sure that your tape is in there good. You know, it's not a huge thing. That kind of tape sticks to just about everything. Check and make sure you tape all of the holes inside. And there you go. That's all there is to it. Hey, you know, guys, if you like the content to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. You know, that's awesome when you do. And amazingly, 90% of you people watching this don't subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It's easy peasy. And it helps the channel so we can continue to make good content for you. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It means more than you could possibly know. So until the next video, I'm AJ with AJ Jam Studios saying, keep wrenching, guys.